Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to one of the last MVT meetings of 2024. Don't know how many more we'll have, but I know we'll have at least one more. Thank you all for being on time. Truly appreciate you. We have 4 bills on our list. 2 of them are House bills and 2 of them are cross-filed bills. So we will start with, what are we going to start with? Let's start with Senate Bill, let's see, Senate Bill 277, House Bill 161. This is the departmental bill, driver's licenses, learners, instruction permits, and identification cards. Patrick, will you walk us through the differences and what you all came up with so that we can hopefully move forward?
Yeah, everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. To refresh your memories, this is a bill that allowed MVA to not charge a fee for various identification card documents for people released from correctional facilities and juvenile services and the like. And there was sort of a catch-all at the end that the Senate didn't like. That presents any other documentation in accordance with conditions established by the administration, a catch-all for them, you know, in case somebody falls through the cracks that needs an ID and, you know, is coming out of an unfortunate situation. And the Senate struck that in the Senate bill, and MVA worked with them and came up with language for the catch-all that reads, presents other documentation showing that the applicant is participating in another program administered by a state agency which requires possession of identification. Now, I think the concern was real ID and immigrant licensing, which was not the idea for the previous language at all. But this language satisfied JPR, and they've put it in the House bill, and this amendment puts it in the Senate bill, makes the House bill and the Senate bill in the same posture.
Can everybody see? I just put it on the screen. Can everybody see it on the screen? Mm-hmm. Great. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Chair Healy.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Does this new language change who's covered by this or not?
No, I mean, in terms of those who are enumerated, no. The worry in the catch-all language was in case there's some other person released or coming out of a program. They talked about, you know, people coming out of Department of Health institutions and incarceration and juvenile justice, and maybe they forgot somebody. So they wanted to catch them just in case they didn't forget anybody. So this just narrows it to, instead of being fairly open-ended, saying presents documentation from applicants participating in another program administered by the state, by a state agency.
Well, what if they're coming out of a federal facility that's not run by a state agency?
Well, the federal facility would usually be a incarceration in a prison, which is already covered.
Yeah, but it could also be somebody who's in a hospital. Like we have several military hospitals in the state. Walter Reed is in Bethesda.
Huh?
So I think, let's see. This fee is not required if the applicant for the card is legally blind, has permanently lost the use of a leg or arm, is permanently disabled, physical or mental impairment, shows they were released from a correctional facility, presents documentation that the applicant is a youth. I mean, I guess, Chair Healy, that if there's a problem with people coming out of Walter Reed and needing, not being able to pay the fee, you know, this may be something we can come back to. I guess
I was just wondering if we could, it's instead of saying another state agency, we just say another government agency.
Well, the previous one said adopted by the administration.
Okay.
So I think we have to keep it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your question, though.
All right.
Delegate Guyton?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I know what the answer to the question should be. I just want to double check on behalf of some of the people that would be utilizing this service, that all of this documentation and the interactions that they would be having with folks at MVA to get this ID would be in a very confidential space, and that all this would be protected. This would be protected. Maybe that's a
Well,
Patrick
this is their
question.
normal process. All this is doing is waiving the fee.
Is anyone on? Let me stop sharing and see who might be on, who could answer that.
Matt?
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
or Melissa, or actually not Melissa, Sean.
Good afternoon. Sean Oom with the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration. So yes, Patrick is correct. The process for getting an identification card would not change. There are some certain populations where we are able to, we only charge $1 for an identification card, such as a homeless population. Administratively, to be able to collect this dollar, sometimes is even more, the administrative costs exceed that dollar, but the statute is explicit that we shall charge a fee. So this legislation would just waive it for the population, the groups of categories identified here in statute.
Thank you so much for that. And I think initially I was thinking of an older bill, but that makes perfect sense and I understand it, and that is terrific. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Larry, can you turn your camera off, please? Thank you. Delegate Davis.
Madam Chair, what's the appropriate motion to move the bill?
Move the amendment.
Move the amendment.
Second.
Is there a second? Great. Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed to the amendment? Great. On the bill as amended? I
Move the
see
bill.
2 hands up, a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the bill as amended, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Great. Anybody wish to be recorded in opposition? Fantastic. The bill as amended passes. Great. We will move next to Senate Bill 70, House Bill 1507. Patrick?
Okay. This is the bill dealing with major changes in bus service and the requirements of MTA to provide notice of the major changes. And there was a major confusion about them having to do 2 reports, one before and one after the public hearing. And I think we've worked through that confusion with both the Senate sponsor and with MTA. I think I saw Melissa on there. She could confirm that, I think. And we've come up with language where they would not do a report early, and it would be limited to a major change. It would be posted on the website as is current law, and it gives a more minute description of the information to be required on that, instead of just an evaluation of demographics of riders on the lines of service area. Would have that, the schools in the district, the types of businesses, monthly ridership, and the like. And then it would also require that any subsequent reports after the public hearing be additionally sent to each member of the General Assembly whose district is affected by the major change. And like I said, all are on board on this one.
Senator, I'm sorry, you mentioned the Senate sponsor and Jackie, Delegate Addison. Were you also a part of these conversations? Have you seen this?
Yes, Patrick sent it to me.
Great. Okay. Are you okay with them?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Any questions to what Patrick just described? Yes, Chair Healy.
Just a question about it. This is going forward forever, right? I mean, this is a new policy that's going to be MTA forever, right?
Yes, there's no sunset or anything on it. Yes.
Okay, and so my question then will be, at some point in the future, MTA is the partner in the Purple Line construction, and I don't know if this kind of thing will affect that or not. And I just curious, because the Purple Line is a big thing in my district, and I know it connects us to MTA in some way, but I know that it's also going to be privately operated, so I'm not sure.
This is in reference to bus service.
Okay, it's not train. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any further questions? Okay, is there a motion on the amendments?
Move favorable.
Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Davis?
I was just gonna move it, Madam Chair.
Okay, so since two people moved it, I'll have one move and one second. Any further discussion on the amendments? Seeing none on the amendments, all those in favor, raise hand, say aye.
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 Great. Anybody opposed? On the bill is, I'm sorry, the amendments pass. On the bill is amended?
Move favorable.
Great. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, all those in favor of SB 70, actually, we're gonna have to vote them, probably vote them separately, just to have a clean record. So we'll be voting on HB 1507. We just adopted the amendments for HB 1507. Now we're on the amended HB 1507. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Great, HB 1507 passes. Senate Bill 70, which we are amending to match HB 1507, which we just passed. Is there a motion on the amendments?
Move favorable.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of the amendments on SB 70 to conform with HB 1507, say aye, raise your hand. Great, the amendments pass. On the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of SB 70 as amended, say aye, raise your hand.
Okay.
Great, thank you very much. Those both pass. Moving to HB 1446, Railroad Safety Requirements, Maryland Railway Safety Act. Patrick, why don't you let folks know where we are?
Okay, the amendments that were sent out put the bill in essentially the same posture as passed the House last year. I think the only difference is the language that negates the law if the feds pass their federal rule establishing a certain number of crew required on these trains. And that is language that has previously been in the bill, so it's not new. I also had talks with some of the members of the subcommittee about short lines, and I believe I have a memory of some language being put about short lines, but I don't believe it's necessary. I think we came to that conclusion because it hasn't been in any recent bills at all, and I think that's because the current language that this subsection applies to a train or light engine used in connection with the movement of railroad freight. And then this subsection does not apply to a train or light engine used in connection. Well, wait a second. Train or light engine used in connection. Wait a second. Let me find the right version here. Can we put up the reprint?
Yeah, let me just grab it. Give me one sec. Sorry, I was not on top of things.
I don't think I have a copy of it right here.
Okay, I've got it right here. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and if we can go down just a little bit, that shares the same rail corridor. There it is.
Where am I?
If we go up a little bit, just one click.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, that shares the same rail corridor as a high-speed passenger or commuter train. I think in the past, we'd concluded that that cut out the short lines.
Yes.
So I don't think we've considered the specifically cutting out short lines necessary.
Okay, so you can see that all of this has been struck so that we are passing what we've passed before. And this is the language Patrick mentioned, that if the Federal Railroad Administration issues a rule or adopts regulations establishing minimum crew size, this act shall be abrogated and of no further force and effect. Okay, Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you. Remind me again, line 23, first page, what Hostler service is.
Patrick?
Maybe I forgot what Hustler exactly is. It's in the rail yard, I believe. Larry's on. He might know exactly. He would know exactly what it is.
Great. Larry, would you answer that for us, please? Larry? I asked him to turn his thing off and I guess he left us. Just wanted his camera off. I didn't want him to leave us. All right, Vaughn, are you Googling it?
I did not Google it, Madam Chair. I thought Larry would come in here hot and heavy. I didn't think I needed to, but I'm happy to.
Will you please? Our resident Google master. In the meantime, Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So while the little boy genius Googles, basically this thing is saying we want 2 engineers on a train after everything else gets cut and pasted and torn apart. Is that fair, Patrick?
Yes.
And did we vote on something like this last year in a different form after the incident in Ohio?
We've had this bill for a number of years. We had it last year too. Yes.
Okay.
I think we've passed it. I think we've had it for 10 years.
Getting close to that.
Yeah, and we've passed it
Yeah, I
the
feel like
majority
I've
of those
voted on
years.
it 20 times.
Any further questions, Delegate Morgan? Okay, Delegate Stewart, do you have an answer for us? No.
Not yet. Hold on.
Oh my goodness. If anybody has Larry's number.
I'm not trying to play stump the band or anything. I was just curious what Hostler was.
Well, for passing a law, that's good to know what the word is. Yes.
I
Chair Healy.
texted him.
Thank you, Delegate Ziegler.
I did ask Larry to get back on, so.
Okay, there he is. He's coming back.
I think I found the answer, Madam Chair.
There he is. Larry, you left us. Oh, he's not on. Hang on.
He's connected.
A hostler service means that your shipments will be unloaded by experienced hostlers. So it's like it's basically like you moved. It's like when trailers and shipping containers are moved on a train.
Got it. Thank you. Larry, you're back. Did
I have a question for
Delegate
Larry.
Stewart get it right?
Sorry, I got disconnected. I only heard half of what he said.
Okay. The question is, what's a hustler service?
Hostler is an employee who moves locomotives from one location to the other within yard service mostly.
Got it. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Delegate Jacobs? You good? Okay. Chair Healy?
Yeah, my question was about all of this new language in the amendments. Are all the advocates on board with it?
No.
Yeah, my understanding is that they would prefer all of the language, but that this is what we have come to.
What does that mean? Who's come to? Who's we?
Leadership.
House and Senate, or I'm just trying to understand where this all came from.
That's a good
Well,
question. Go ahead, Patrick.
The bill had additional, it wasn't in the same form as last year. It had additional provisions regarding hazardous material, the length of trains, reports and penalties, and the like. And the amendments take out all the new stuff and put the bill in the posture it was in last year, roughly.
Is there a Senate bill or is this the only bill? I'm just trying to figure out.
There is a Senate bill.
And is it in the same posture as this would be if we do all this?
I don't believe the Senate bill has moved. I'm checking now. Yeah, the Senate had a hearing on March 14th and hasn't moved.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Morgan? Delegate Morgan, did you have a question?
Yeah, real quickly. Based upon the definition of hostile, and I Googled it too, it basically says you're just moving trains within a yard. Does this still then require you have to have 2 engineers on a train to move things within a yard, or just 1, or what?
It says it does not apply to Hostler services.
This only
So you do
applies
not.
this only applies on tracks where there's commuter trains.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any further questions? Okay, is there a motion on the amendments?
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. On the amendments, all in favor, say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay, any opposed? Okay, the amendments pass. On the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you all. HB 1446 passes as amended. And now we are moving to HB 530, the Great Maryland Trails Act. We had discussed this last time around. We did not vote on it. It went down to appropriations and they have approved it. So it is back to us for a vote. Patrick, will you run us through the amendments again? And I'll see if I can pull it up, please.
Yeah, the amendments basically take out the advisory committee and the Office of Trails and put the responsibility for putting together the network of trails under the existing what's it called? The director of bicycle and pedestrian access in MDOT, an existing position, which does cut some on the fiscal note. Much of the same requirements stay in place and the like. And that would include, give me a second here, developing and maintaining developing the Maryland Trails Plan and coordinating with other department agencies and local governments to get grants and to develop, construct, manage, promote Maryland Trails Network, establish categories of trails, coordinate with each modal and DNR and local governments to advance the cause of Maryland Trails Network. And like, it's basically, for now, a start on the Maryland Trails Network. And again, it puts it under the director of bicycle and pedestrian access.
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. I'm sorry, I see hands up. I was looking at the bill. Delegate Morgan.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss here, but I'm looking at your sheet for the meeting today, and this bill isn't on the sheet.
Right.
The only
Yep,
thing that's on-
sometimes,
Did I miss something?
no, you did not. You'll recall in times past, this has happened as well when things are ready. Sometimes they crop up at the last minute. We try to give you as much advance notice as we can. And sometimes
Doesn't work.
we don't. My apologies.
No problem.
I'm sorry
Thank you.
for that. Yep.
And for the record, this is the same bill we had discussed at the previous meeting and then moved down to appropriations to get their approval.
No, I got you.
Yep. Thank you. Delegate Jacobs.
So, if I recall, before we sent it down to appropriations, the estimated amendment fiscal note was about 500,000 rather than the 750 that was initially, I think on the, fiscal note as the bill came in. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. There is a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the amendments, please say aye. Or raise your hand. Great. Anybody opposed? Okay, the amendments pass on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
Any further discussion? All
Yes,
those
I
in
want to
favor?
say something. I'm going to say
Yes,
something.
please.
I can't support this bill for the mere fact that, this year we have struggled on the reduction of funds in the Transportation Trust Fund for every project across this state. And I've talked with my own district office, and their budget's really been slashed as well. And I don't think this is a proper time to be adding a new program basically in there for $500,000 when we've done everything possible to try to raise funds for the Transportation Trust Fund to take care of the roads. I think if they want to do something in tough times like this, they should absorb it within their own committees.
Thank you, Delegate Jacobs. Any further discussion? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. All in favor of HB 530 as amended, please raise your hand, say aye.
Right.
Great. Those opposed? Got it. Thank you all. That clears the deck. Appreciate you. Chair Healy, were you raising your hand for a question? And you're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Again, going back to the agenda, and I was actually asked about this, so I need to find out. The Vision Zero Commission, Senate Bill 345, Senator Wall Striker, it was on the list.
Correct.
And, I don't know what happened with that. Maybe
Yep, it was on the list, you are right. And it's came off the list at the last minute because there's still some more work that we're doing on it. It was Delegate Polakovich Carr's HB 344. So that is to be seen at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We're still working on it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything for the good of the order? Awesome. Thank you all very much.